the heart they gather strong, pushing back the lefty strong. With the red banner held high, marching forward through the night. Promises of old will keep as the donkeys start to weep. Stars and stripes forever sway, in the land of the brave we stay. We've got the power now, in the heart of every town. We've got the power now, the Reds are going down.
With a flagpole planted firm,
golden dreams that won't decay,
marching proudly through the day.
In the eagle's shadow wide, we find our strength and take our pride. Let the voices echo loud, tearing through the waiting crowd. We've got the power now, in the heart of every town. We've got the power now, the Reds are going down. Across the plains and mountains tall, hear the victory call. With courage and with might we strive, in the light of freedom's guide. We got the power now, in the heart of every town. We've got the power now, the Reds are going down.
In our little town so serene, where the grass is green, the air so clean, we gather round the table every night. Joyful days, oh, what Sian, with values passed, with generations past, living life with love that surely lasts. As the city lights look bright, we hold to our roots tight, in our hearts the same old fires, guided by the good old days. Sharing moments with friends always divine, working hard for what we seek, respecting each word we speak, holding dear to our family ties underneath these nostalgic skies. As the city lights so bright got you tight, in our hearts the same old fire. Oh, yeah. We sway with every change of time, but in our hearts old vows and sword that made baby in our heart, getting like a thought ain't hot. In this fast-paced world we can fight, traditions keep our hearts going wild. But you'll find in our hearts simple ways, we got it by the good old days.
I'm glowing in the night, shining like a star in this atomic age, a brighter by far. Untouchable energy, it's a glowing affair. Ready and ready, I'll take you everywhere. I'm untouchable now, feel the power in the air. Radioactive rhythm, but sense without care. Electric and alive in this atomic embrace. Unstoppable now in this glowing space.
Hello and welcome to Culturama, where on this show we are trying to reclaim the zeitgeist of traditional Americana back into the United States. I want to thank everyone that has tuned in the show and wants to take part in the conversation, where on this show we are fighting back against the insidious nature of postmodernism, infusing in every aspect of major institutions in America, whether that be governmental institutions to higher education, and even K through 12 education as well. So I want to thank everyone that is joining the show, and I see people are still coming on to in the chat room and joining, so thank you everyone. We have a lot to cover. I know I say this every episode, especially lately. Since Trump has taken office, there has been a lot that has been happening, and it seems like, we are just taking win after win after win ever since our guy has taken office. But we unfortunately have to address some other topics as well that aren't so great. A tragedy has occurred. There has been a disaster over DC where a Black Hawk had intersected with an airplane and 67 lives were lost. Now, I will be talking about that, and it is a tragedy, but it must be discussed because there are other aspects of it that thankfully President Trump has decided to speak on, which we will be covering on this show, which, the intention, of course, is not to politicize anything. Undoubtedly, over 60 lives were lost, and that is quite unfortunate, regardless of where you stand in the aisle. And this is a tragedy that shouldn't have happened, frankly. And so we'll be talking about that and why this has occurred. Again, per the president's views and what he has said. But additionally, we also are going to cover the second round of the confirmation hearing for RFK. If I have extra time, I will also talk about the other confirmation hearings, specifically having to do with Kash Patel, which I'll be interested to cover as well. So we have that and a lot more to cover today. There's been an ascendancy of the new right wing as well that I would like to cover because, of course, this is called Culturama. Culture is in the title, where I like to talk about not just American culture in general, but primarily to do with conservative culture. Although I do like to look at culture and political aspects on both sides of the aisle, but specifically with conservative culture and republicanism in the United States. I'm sure you guys have seen the Cruel Kids Table article that has come out, and where there are conversations surrounding what the face of the New Right movement looks like. And it looks like a woman with an all-American face wearing what appears to be a nightgown dress. So we'll be talking about that and more in this episode. And of course, if you make it to the very end of this episode, we also have the Liberty Tonight Show, which streams every Thursday after mine as part of the 4 Liberty Network here on Rumble and on YouTube and other platforms as well. So at the end of every show on Thursdays, I put a link in the chat to their show, so you guys should go and check that out after mine. It is like a nightly comedy show, and I think you guys will really enjoy that. I did want to say hello, like I always do with the beginning of every show. I wanted to say hello to those in the chat and those that are started writing. There are quite a few, and we have really good viewership already on Rumble, at least for Culturama standards, so that's really good to see. Of course, we have, let's see here, we have Mr. Pig in the chat. As usual, hello, Mr. Pig. Robbie Thurman, hello. He writes, and arachnophobia, let the spiders get married. I wholeheartedly agree, Robbie Thurman. Let the spiders get married. Absolutely. Let's see here. We have Monolithic Ethos. Hello, Monolith. It's so good to see you. Last I've talked with you, I think it was at AmFest. So it's really good to see you. JJ is in the chat. Where is the Snowden pardon? Completely agree, JJ. Where is the Snowden pardon? It's very, very serious. We need to be discussing that as well. Let's see here. AP for Liberty, of course, is in the chat. Hello, AP for Liberty. Mr. Labrisi, again with the name, can never pronounce it, but I love to see you here. He's on the YouTube chat. He writes, what up? Excited for the show? I'm excited that you're excited, Mr. Labrisi. Okay, Monolithic Ethos wrote, is CPAC on the other side of the river where the plane crashed? I don't know, Monolith. That's a really good question. It did crash near the Potomac, I think it's called, river. I don't know the DC area too well. I have been there several times, but every single time I visit, I it's like it's in a brand new environment. So I do live in Washington, but not that Washington. I live in the Washington all the way across the United States. So I wouldn't know, I couldn't tell you. But if you would know those details and you find out, let me know in the chat. Freedom on YouTube, right? Culturama Queen is on. You go Queen. That is very kind of you, Freedom. I appreciate that comment. Thank you so much. We have a Derek Mollier on Rumble. He writes, hello, everyone. Hello, Derek. I don't see this name on too often, so it's good to see you here in the Rumble chat. Let's see here. We have hold on. How do you pronounce this? Aldi Baranal. Aldi Baron I think it's Aldi Baron the Third, I thought those 3 L's. That's probably the number 3. He writes, thanks to Austin Peterson on X for introducing to me to this great channel. Thank you so much, Aldi. I really do appreciate that. And you are new, so welcome to Culturama. For those that are new, I just want to say, get a few rules out of the way. So if you want your chat to be read out loud or for have me to answer any of your questions, given that they are appropriate, send in a Rumble rant because I don't have all the time in the world to see all the chat, on the stream. So if you do send a Rumble rant, it could be as small as $2 or more, preferably. I will be playing this sound. Here comes the money. If you guys can hear that. Money talk. Here comes the money. So I'll be playing that song, right? When I play that, that means a donation has come in, and I will read your Rumble rant. And also, we also have this other interesting feature of the show. We have the Unleash the Beast. Monster kill. We have this Unleash the Beast little graphic here on the side, a scale. So, for those that don't know, I do have a dog, and he is rather dysgenic. He almost is like a circus freak show, and I like to bring him on wearing a specific outfit. So I know people on my audience really like to see Leo. This is a phenomenon I did not know would occur. It's not as though I always want to bring him on, but the people crave Leo. So if it's a really good day and people really want to see my dog or they miss him, I will set a ransom, and once that ransom is reached through donations, I will bring him on as soon as we reach that ransom. And at the start of every show, I put it at a pretty hefty price at $50. So if you guys send in $50 in total, I will send out my dog, and then I will play this sound effect. That means the beast has been unleashed. That is a beast meter. Okay, anyway, back to the comments. So those are the rules of the show. For those that are new. Okay, Grizz Cheese is in the building. Hello, Grizz Cheese. Very good to see you. JJ wrote Potomac. Thank you, JJ. I do appreciate that. Hello, Grizz Cheese. Okay, we have Tech Ninja on YouTube. They write, first time watching. Thank you so much, Tech Ninja. I really do appreciate to see you here. And we already have $5 in donations from Steelbringer. Here we go. Thank you so much, Steelbringer. Thank you for the $5. All he wrote was Steelbringer donated $5, and he just wrote like this. So he's giving all of you guys a good example of what a Rumble Rant shout out looks like. Thank you so much, Steelbringer, and thank you so much for providing that very positive review on the Atomic Blonde coffee. And for those that don't know, the Culturama show we have our very own coffee. And later on the show, I will show you guys where to go to order that. But yes, we have the Culturama Atomic Blonde coffee. It will keep you up for hours. And you can also get a mug, the Culturama mug. I have a straw here so I won't mess up my lipstick. I have many coats of lipstick. But this is a Culturama mug with a delicious Culturama coffee. So if you want to have all the Culturama merch, well, here you go. Coffee in mug, keep you awake for hours, and will get you enough energy as I need to make a show like this. Okay, we have Rowhouse as well, writing, hello, Daniela. So good to see you, Rowhouse. Thank you so much for joining the stream. And he writes he will send a rant soon. Thank you, Rowhouse. I do appreciate that. And Freedom writes, Leo the Prince. Yes, you want to see Leo and his crazy outfits. Leo is a star. I completely agree, Freedom. He is a star. So, already, pretty good viewership. Thank you so much, guys, for joining. So I wanted to just jump in to the next few stories here that I have saved up for you, and I will begin with a bit of a lighter one, and it is culture related. I've talked about this earlier on Austin Peterson's morning stream on the Wake Up America show, and this has to do a little bit with it has to do with Netflix. Okay, let me pull these stories up here for you guys. Hang on a second. Here we go. Okay, so I don't know if you guys have heard. Okay, I am not a Little House on the Prairie fan. I never was. Not my cup of tea. However, it is an American classic, and it has its, quite a bit of a fan base, and it seems like it is so popular that it will be getting a reboot on Netflix. How exciting is that, right? Unfortunately, it's gonna be done by Netflix, okay? And that already is sending a few red flags here. Says here, Little House on the Prairie, a reimagining of Laura Ingalls Wilder's book series coming to Netflix. Okay, great, wonderful, exciting. The new generation can experience the wonderful tales of the American West, right? Let's keep reading. Part family drama, part survival tale, and part origin story. The series will offer a kaleidoscope view of the struggles and triumphs of those who shaped the American West. Okay, so already a great start, and this word right here specifically makes me nervous. Reimagining. So we already know. I retweeted it. I said reimagining in quotes. This pretty much sums up my sentiments. It's going to be slop. Okay, I don't have any optimism for this. I think it's going to be slop. When you use the R word, and that's reimagining, it's not going to be done too well. So I did have this article here pulled up for us by the Hollywood Reporter that gives a summary of this. So let's give it a read. The 19th century Ingalls family is getting a 21st century TV life. Netflix has ordered a Little House on the Prairie series 40 plus years after a long-running adaptation of Laura Ingalls Wilder's beloved book aired on the last episode on NBC. The new version comes from the showrunner Rebecca Sonnenschein. So this is where I lost all hope, because for those that don't know, Rebecca Sonnenschein, she was one of the producers of The Boys. She's going to be an executive producer on this show. And look, I haven't watched The Boys or The Vampire Diaries for that matter, but I've heard through firsthand accounts that The Boys is a bit of a woke show. So once I heard that, I don't need to hear anymore. You have the R word reimagining. You have this Rebecca Sonnenschein individual, Netflix. It's a trifecta of inept storytelling, and I think it's not going to be too great. The Little House on the Prairie, continuing forward, has captured the hearts and imaginations of so many fans around the world, and this is true, it does have its fan base. And we're excited to share its enduring themes of hope and optimism with a fresh take on this iconic story. Once again, you have the red flags here, fresh take. The Little House on the Prairie does not need a fresh take. It could have a take, does not need a fresh one. Rebecca's vision threads the needle with an emotional depth that will delight both new and existing fans of this beloved classic. So I guess to sum up everything, expect everyone, guys, if you're a fan, if you're going to watch this, expect the characters of a Little House on the Prairie to be in wheelchairs and to be anything other than white. As historically accurate, thematically accurate, as a retelling and a reimagining of the founding of the Great American West. Okay, so Sonnenschein. Oh, whoops! I highlighted too much. Where is it? Sonnenschein will. I can't highlight. Look at this. Where is it? Here we go. I won't highlight. Sonnenschein will executive produce Little House with Joy Gorman-Wettels of Joy Coalition, Friendly Family Productions, Dana Fox, and Susan Fogel. The show comes from the CBS Studios and Anonymous Content Studios. Okay, so these are all the individuals that you will need to look out for, and I am certain that a lot of them have been a part of many a woke tradition. Quote from one of the executive producers, "It has been a long-held dream of mine to carry on my father's legacy and adapt Wilder's classic American stories for a 21st century audience in a way that brings together fans of both the books and the original television series, which last aired in the 1980s, I believe." Said Friendly, "I'm thrilled by our talented creative team led by Rebecca Sonnenschein, who are bringing these beloved stories about family, community, and survival to longtime fans and new generations." Now, maybe I'm being a little too paranoid, and I'd be the first to admit I'm wrong. I gladly admit I'm wrong if I'm wrong, but when they keep saying fresh new take or reimagining and, a new adaptation, especially when they say they're trying to appeal to a new audience and a 21st century audience, that makes me nervous. And, they might very well deface this series. I'm sorry for the fans of Little House on the Prairie. I would, if you do happen to have Netflix, tune in, see what it's about. The first episode probably will give you a good snapshot of what to expect in the remainder of the series. But if you don't have Netflix, Little House on the Prairie fans, all I'm going to say is maybe sit this one out. Don't get that new subscription. It may be a waste of your time. Wait till you hear other streamers cover it and let you know. But yeah, it's I just hope they won't completely deface this, because it is, one of the key, it is a good key feature of fiction that covers American culture, American history, and I just hope they're not going to completely ruin it. Additionally, also to note, not surprising, but I certainly do believe that Little House on the Prairie has more of a, let's be fair here, a conservative audience. And I have a feeling that if they completely botch this, it will not be taken too well by the fan base, whether they're old or new in generation. So fingers crossed it won't be done too bad. Again, I'll be the first to admit if it's not completely botched. But based on what I've seen in the past, I am not, especially with what Netflix has done, I do not have my hopes up too high. I certainly will not be renewing my Netflix subscription for this one, but that's just me. Like I said, I am not a big fan of Little House on the Prairie, but to each their own. Steelbringer says that they will indeed ruin it. Yes, I agree, Steelbringer. Steelbringer writes, "That's right, the mystical and elusive modern audience. Where are they?" Oh my goodness, it looks like we have $5 in donations already by Row House. Thank you so much, Row House. I apologize for missing your donation earlier. I got too excited to read this news story with Little House on the Prairie, but thank you so much, Row House. It looks like he's offering another suggestion for me to cover. He writes, "Daniela, is this a good example to you of how RFK's hearing confirmation went?" And he sends a link. Let me copy and paste this, Row House, and take a look at it before I put it on screen. All right, let's see here. RFK clashes with Senator Ron Wyden and his HHS confirmation hearing. Let's take a listen. Hold on, let me put on the correct screen for this so we can play it together. Sent by Row House. Let's take a listen, Row House, and see what you sent.
Are you lying to Congress today when you say you are pro-vaccine? Or did you lie on all those podcasts? We have all of this on tape, by the way.
Yeah, Senator, as you know, because it's been repeatedly debunked, that statement that I made on the Lex Friedman podcast was a fragment of the statement. He asked me, and anybody who actually goes and looks at that podcast and will see this. He asked me, are there vaccines that are safe and effective? And I said to him, some of the live virus vaccines are. And I said, there are no vaccines that are safe and effective, and I was going to continue for every person. Every medicine has people who are sensitive to them, including vaccines.
Right, so...
he interrupted me at that point. Mm-hmm. I've corrected it many times, including on national TV. You know about this, Senator Wyden, so bringing this up right now is dishonest.
Let's be clear about what you've actually done then, since you want to.
One thing I've noticed with as much as I've watched of the confirmation hearings, that they simply do not let the poor man talk. And, you know, especially when he's trying to make a vow. This one was kind enough to let him speak long enough to make somewhat of a point. But especially when Bernie Sanders was questioning him, it was just constantly, you know, cutting him off, talking over him. And especially a man with the speaking issues that he has, that's quite mean. But many such cases with confirmation hearings, I suppose. I guess it's sort of like a hazing ritual, right? But yeah, they extensively have questioned him on his stance on vaccines. And, you know, I will get into my thoughts later on what I think of the confirmation hearing, but I will just say that this is truly a blood in the water for Democrats, because I really do feel like, and it seems to be the case, that they feel somewhat backstabbed by someone like RFK and, you know, his support for Trump. And so I think that they are definitely going with tooth and nail, you know, no pullback. Because they see him as sort of like a betrayer. But let's keep watching.
Deny your statements. For example, you have a history of trying to take vaccines away from people. In May of 2021, you petitioned the Food and Drug Administration to not only block Americans from having access to the COVID vaccine, but to prevent any future access to the life-saving vaccine. Are you denying that? Your name is on the petition.
Oh my goodness.
We brought that petition after CDC recommended the COVID vaccine without any scientific basis for 6-year-old children. Most experts agree today, even the people who did it back then, that COVID vaccines are inappropriate for 6-year-old children who basically have a zero risk from COVID. That's why I brought that lawsuit. I don't want to. I want to emphasize
Mr. Kennedy, the facts.
Oh my goodness.
The committee will be in order.
Yeah, quite a passionate exchange there. I like that tweet. Yeah, thank you so much for the donation, Roarhouse. Like I said, I'll get more into the confirmation a little later in the stream, given that I'm good on time here, but definitely we'll be touching on that. But certainly heated exchanges all around. Quite unfortunate that they have to be so harsh on him. Yes, Roarhouse, I saw there was a protester there. Steelbringer wrote, lol, yeah, they grilled the poor guy. They were like scraping the barrel, trying to hit Cash, and I was like, stop making him sound so based. Yes, Steelbringer, I'm sure a lot of us have seen the video where Cash said the things that he said. I don't know if I'll be playing them on stream today, but Cash Patel did say a few things that were quite interesting, and you draw a lot of attention from saying those things. But I haven't watched Cash's confirmation as much as I've seen of RFK's, so I don't know if I'll be covering his as much. I may watch a few clips, given that we have time. But yeah, his seemed pretty interesting as well. That one just started today. Anyway, I will be back. I'm going to be pulling up the next few stories here. Next, I'm going to be talking about Vivek. I gotta keep talking about Vivek. He's still trying to bring his head back into, remain relevant. But anyway, I will be pulling that story up and more. And like I said, eventually we will need to be talking about the flight disaster that happened, and very unfortunate circumstances that is happening here, and it simply just shouldn't have happened, and it is quite sad. I hate to cover topics like this on this show when lives are lost, but I think that it is very pertinent and it is important. I've seen a lot of political streamers, especially on the right wing, talk about confirmation hearings and titling their streams about the confirmation hearings, and I think they are missing a really big part of the conversation right now. and that is discussing what happened with the flight. So we'll be talking about that and more at the Reagan Airport, Yes Row House. We'll be talking about that and more. I will be right back. I'll be pulling up those stories as we continue, and I'm trying to keep up with the schedule here on today, because on Thursdays we got to keep it 2 hours because we have the Liberty Tonight show on as well afterwards. So I'm going to be keeping a tighter schedule today. But thank you for those that have already donated. Very good to see the familiar faces. I will be right back.
Untouchable energy, it's a glowing affair. Ready, ready, I'll take you everywhere. I'm untouchable now, filled with power in the air. Radioactive rhythm, but sense without care. Electric and alive in this atomic embrace. Unstoppable now in this glowing space.
We stand firm in our belief. Hold tight. Through the times clearer we can see. Crazy world spinning round. Stay grounded. In our hearts simple truths agree. Whisper of freedom and liberty. Rings true. Our foundation strong and deep. Holding on to what we know, while the rest of the world lets go. Steady paths we choose to follow, while the winds of change blow. In the story we've built for trust and never doubt, time flies but we won't bend. Communists talk loud and fast. Stay silent. Our quiet strength is our reply. So salute to change, but pause. Reflect. In unity, our dearest friend. Holding on to what we know, while the rest of the world lets go. Steady paths we choose to follow, while the winds of change blow. In shadows we find our light. Through chaos we stay upright. With courage, faith on our side. Forever. Standing firm, our guide. Holding on to what we know, while the rest of the world lets go. Steady paths we choose to follow, while the winds of change blow.
Okay, welcome back to Culturama, where on this show we are reclaiming the zeitgeist of traditional Americana back into the United States. Thank you everyone that has joined the stream. Let's dive into the topics for today, shall we? So, Vivek Ramaswamy, he has his fans and now he has his haters. I try not to be too much of a hater. I am not a hater. What he has done and what he has talked about when he ran for president is fundamental in retaining the American spirit. However, due to his comments on Christmas, I won't get it all into it, but having to do with the H-1B visa programs and what he said about Urkel nationalism, which is what I call it, and the American worker, he has drawn the ire of a lot of Americans, particularly those that have been laid off from tech and trying to find work. But he's talked about already how Americans, how do you put it, embraces mediocrity over exceptionalism, and this is why we need to even rely on a program like the H-1B visa program. Now, I've already talked about this on my show, so I will not get into it too much. But what I will say is this. He was supposed to be part of DOGE, the Department of Government Efficiency, and he has taken a leave. We do not exactly know why he has left. There are, of course, rumors and speculations that abound, most of which has to do with the fact that a lot of people are upset with him. And a lot of people say that perhaps he's left DOGE because of that, and that it doesn't look good and doesn't reflect well on the present administration. Once again, this is all just alleged. We do not know for certain. He says that he wants to focus on his run for Ohio governor, especially so early on. That very well may be the case. Once again, we don't know. I do want to stress this. However, it is very interesting to see him go through the punditry cycle, more interestingly, the podcast cycle. And it seems as though Vivek has been somewhat demoted. And I did want to watch this with you guys and see what your take is on it. And maybe I'm being too harsh on the guy. I'm sure that he has his fans watching this stream right now. So I wanted to ask you guys your opinion on this. Bachelor Dino on YouTube wrote, "Hello, Bachelor Dino. Thank you for tuning in." He wrote, "He's worse than a Republican. He's an apostate." Yes, that does seem to be the case right now. A lot of people are upset at him. Very well put. Let's I'm gonna play some of these clips for you guys. So here he is on a stream. They're talking about the Selena Gomez situation. Like I said, he's been
It's like to adjust for the emotional response.
Wait, chat, how old is she?
Because I want to be ragging on one person.
Let's see if I can enhance the video quality
is,
here.
Let's see.
Anyway, put play.
40. She's 30.
Oh, okay.
Do you hear it?
So there's Vivek in the corner here. Someone remind me who this podcaster is. I don't know who he is on top of my head. Oh, Aiden Ross. Okay, there you go. Aiden Ross, not a person I watch all too often, but he's in Aiden Ross's podcast right here, and they're talking about. So Vivek has been going through this, like I said, the now new pundit circuitry where he has been joining streamer after streamer, and I'm not going to knock on him. Streaming has been proven. It seems to be the case that it was an important part of the previous election. So good on him for, reaching out. And like I said, he is running for Ohio State governor. So he's probably just trying to get his name out there because, as we all know, he still needs to do that. But he's been appearing on streams like this.
Try everything.
Yes, that was it.
And he, once again, he could have been in D.C. I just want to give you guys some context. He could have been in D.C. right now. Okay? He could have been working with Doge right now. But he's on Aiden Ross's stream. Still, good on him for reaching out and going on these streams. It's still a little surreal to see a big politician like this on a stream. But anyway, he wrote, "Strikes me as disingenuous." But this is really the stream that I wanted to bring attention to. I wrote, Vivek is so cooked that he has to get mogged by the podcast circuit just to have a chance at the Ohio primary. It's over for Vivek bros. This is how I feel. Again, if you guys disagree with me, please let me know. Maybe send in a Rumble rant to get me to disagree with me publicly here. But here's the original tweet, tweeted by this account, the MAGA Hulk. Lucky. They wrote, Anders Schultz roasts Vivek Ramaswamy for calling Americans retarded. Vivek then promises to turn Ohio into the next Silicon Valley and is asked if he plans to do so with H-1B visas. Vivek then claims there is no IQ difference between countries. Lunacy. Let's take a listen at how this went.
But how do you do that? You think you just
We'll start from the beginning.
better. And if you think about it, Silicon Valley, right, has been at the bleeding edge of the American economy for the last 20 years, just by market capitalization, by innovation. I think the Ohio River Valley can be the
You want to bring Silicon Valley to
Quite visionary. I mean, why not, right?
Ohio.
Even one step more than that, to go to the next level where Silicon Valley isn't in terms of production.
Whoa.
Because I do think that's going to be the next wave of actual true innovation in America, is actually producing semiconductors.
But how do you do that? You think you just
AI
get a lot more H-1B visas in Ohio?
Yeah. It starts with rolling back.
How do you do with these retard Americans?
So they're now starting to, obviously pick on him. Vivek is never going to live this down. I mean, what he said the day after Christmas when he made that Urkel tweet, I don't think I think that is going to, he's going to live under the shadow of that monolith for a long time. He's going to have to carry that on his back, and it's going to be hard to escape. And it seems to be, he's clearly trying to redeem himself early on, especially in the governor race, that, he is going in this podcast circuit because, in a way he is getting his name out there, even though he doesn't really have to. It is Vivek Ramaswamy. He's well known. But he is going to get hazed a little bit because, if that's the correct terminology, because of what he said. And that's just the truth of it. What he said was upsetting for a lot of Americans. And it seemed to be not the popular position at that time. So I think he's also trying to redeem himself a bit. So he has to put up with some of this BS, you could say, for quite a while before he can fully redeem himself, if he can even do that.
We just got retarded Americans here in this country. There's no way we can figure out engineering.
There's four of us right here.
You're trying to figure out what the managerial class is. So we're too dumb.
You know what the sad part is?
Yes.
We're actually, some people say that.
What do you
Some
mean?
people say that.
You're sitting on the couch right now.
What's that?
He's sitting right here, the guy that says it.
No, actually, so to the contrary.
Okay, yeah.
Because I said this in my now infamous tweet.
He got hacked.
That was all me.
The next time
You can tell he's gritting his teeth as he's going through this. He's not happy about this.
And the problem with me with my tweets is nobody else reads them before I put them out. That is all me.
fire them off. And if I stay to the championship game, you're like, all right,
when you
whatever.
have a busy year and you're on vacation with your family,
Yeah.
maybe put down the Twitter account for a little while.
Where were you on vacation? TikTok Jack, take my phone.
We're in Brazil, and I was just like,
You
what?
saw them working, you were like, nah, these motherfuckers.
Well, so the thing is, the thing that pissed me off is actually a lot of people started saying the thing that you were saying, which is that actually there's some IQ differential in other countries versus the U.S.
Well, here we go.
I don't think so.
We
Actually,
got to be the smartest.
I think that if anything, we are, because we have a good selection bias of who comes here for native IQ. But there's a big problem.
What?
So if we have at least no less smart and probably smarter on average than most countries, if not all countries, because of the selection bias of who comes here. Yet in 8th grade,
You're still saying it's the immigrants that come here to make us smart.
No, I mean then here for generations.
You're still saying that.
They're here for generations.
Just say, if you wanted to try,
you wanted the
just
hard
say white Christians are the smartest and everything will be okay.
They're going to corner him and force him to say Christ is king next, I'm sure.
Okay? Just say it. Just say Christ is king and we're the smartest.
But here's the problem, man. 8th.
So anyway, they brought up the IQ dilemma, and I don't know if you guys have heard, but there is a conversation about how the general average IQ in India is lower than it is in the United States. And the H-1B program, of course, is supposed to be a program where we bring in the exceptions into our country and let us prosper here. But once again, back when the H-1B visa debate was going on in last month, people did some digging and they found that a lot of the jobs that were accepting H-1B visa recipients were very menial jobs. Yes, there was more advanced jobs, especially in high tech and in big tech, that were accepting them. But there was also jobs like gas station worker, cashier, dog walker, things that could really be given to anyone. So. But anyway, that doesn't necessarily relate to the IQ conversation, but yes, regardless, very unfortunate circumstances for Vivek. I did want to say I do feel somewhat vindicated about this because, gonna be truthful here, and if you look at my past postings on him, I will confidently say I never liked the guy. I was always somewhat questionable about him, especially as it relates to his business practices, and people have brought that to light since last month, since this whole H-1B visa debate came out. So I do feel vindicated about my beliefs on Vivek, and I had naysayers tell me in person and online that I was wrong, and I was not wrong. So I just want to take credit for that. Anyways, I also wanted to talk about hold on a second. Let me check on the chat here. I also wanted to talk about this New York magazine story. Let's check on the chat. JJ writes, I'm slightly biased because Vivek is a fallow Malu South Indian. Well, God bless you, JJ. Especially with Vivek's previous business practices, when I found out about it immediately, I took him. The two things really turned me off from Vivek, it was that, and granted, I didn't know all the details having to do with this medicine he was pushing out. So, I could have very well been wrong on that. But though the details that I did find out about that particular story made me a bit questionable about him. Also, what really turned me off of Vivek was him emulating Trump so hard. I understand that he is taking the more popular position and what will work with voters, and especially as a politician, you kind of have to do that. But the way he was doing it, it seemed like he almost didn't have his own identity. Personally, that's what I felt like, so I didn't like him too much, and it was sort of like Timu Trump, you know what I mean? If you like all those viewpoints, you might as well just support Trump at that point, especially because Trump had more of the support and the history than Vivek had. So anyway, that's how I felt about that. I want to see if you guys have any other opinions on Vivek in the chat, but it seems like the general opinion is that he is an apostate, so perhaps. Techno Data, good to see you in the chat, Techno Data. They wrote, we have to ask ourselves, Vivek ran against Trump in the primary, stole his talking points, and somehow came to be perceived as an ally. He is a political chameleon. Exactly, Techno Data. That, you just hit the nail on the head. That's how I felt. Whether it be intuitively, I felt that way. Maybe it's my woman's intuition, but that's essentially how I felt, Yes, he did pose himself as an ally, especially when one of the primary debates, he was on stage essentially, debating against Donald Trump, but I forgot exactly what he said. So I can't make my point very strongly here, but I remember in the primary debate, he basically said that if and when he drops out, he wants to, he supports Trump all the way, because they questioned him and they said if they support Trump after the J6 situation, and he said he supports him wholeheartedly, but it almost seemed a little bit too, and excuse my language, but it seemed a little too ass-kissy at the time, and it seemed to me like he was just begging on his knees for a cabinet position. So yes, at that point I felt like this guy is a little bit too self-effacing to be taken seriously. Okay. Give Vivek credit, writes JJ. He did help kick Ronald Romney out of the chairmanship. Fair enough, JJ. Alrighty, so I have this next story for you guys I wanted to bring up, and let me see if I can find the original article. Okay, here's the original article. Have you guys heard about the Cruel Kids Table situation? I'm sure you have. My entire Twitter feed has been filled from this since I believe it was Monday when it came out. There was this article. Let me put it up on screen here for you guys. And I'll just briefly summarize it because I'm sure a lot of you already know. I had to go to the Wayback Machine to get this so I can have the full article. I won't be reading the full article, but yeah, here is the Cruel Kids Table. So there was this inauguration party, and it was filled with a bunch of for inauguration night. And it was with a lot of these, young and upcoming conservative figureheads and, people part of the movement, the youth, Gen Z. So up and coming ascendant rightoids, right? And, a lot of people were a little upset. It was on New York Magazine. Can I click on this? Will it let me? It's loading. But anyway, yeah, this is... Oh, here we go. January 27th. Cannot open it. That's all right. But yeah, this was the cover, right? And this picture is supposed to strike fear because the intention was written to speak negatively of the ascendant right. And this is what people on the right wing and conservatives have been calling it, is the ascendant right, the ascendant cultural right. This is how it looks like. This is a face and of their new right wing. And what I have said especially earlier today on the Wake Up America show, as I go on every Thursday morning, I said that this picture really serves as a litmus test, okay? How do you approach this picture? Do you approach it with fear and disgust and revulsion, or do you think it looks kind of based in fun? Well, this article was intended to strike fear, but a lot of people looked at this picture and it said, no, it actually looks kind of fun and really cool to be here. A lot of people particularly were enamored by this young lady over here. I really don't get it because the dress, I'm sorry. I strongly dislike the dress she's wearing, but it is a black tie event, so I guess this is the only black dress she had access to. It looks like lingerie, personally, I think. But she is an attractive woman, and there's a lot of attractive people in this picture. And the fact that the left wing, basically is what it is, and big media thinks that this is supposed to strike fear in people, or the cruel kids table as it's called, is indicative of the overall idea narrative that is permeating our media in the West. And it has been for quite some time, because we have been promoting this concept of, frankly, ugliness, if I'm going to be fair here. And we've seen it in various movies that have come out, ads, and there was a Jaguar ad? They had those strange individuals in the ad. The Budweiser ad, that's a big one to bring up, with that transgender individual, which I just forgot their name because they're completely irrelevant now. I'm sure someone in the chat can remind me. But this promotion of the exclusive class, how do I put this in a way that's tactful but yet understandable? The people that are, frankly, not the norm, the peripherals of society, which is what they are, that are strange and not attractive, are pushed front and center for all consumers. And that is supposed to be, from major media, that was pushed to be what we should aspire to be. And of course, additionally, if you look to architecture and to modern art, a lot of people have been talking about how aesthetic movements today are completely ugly. You have the modern architecture just completely disgusting to look at. And with Trump's executive order bringing up or looking to bring in more aesthetically pleasing architecture, that is something to look forward to. Hopefully we will come to an era in the American zeitgeist where we can once again celebrate and try to even embody what most would deem, even naturally, aesthetically pleasing. And a lot of that is pretty much summarized in this magazine cover. A lot of these people are, for the most part, aesthetically pleasing. And that's okay. And that's not cruel. But according to this article, it is considered cruel by major media. And a lot of people are disagreeing with that. And they're seeing through the facade of this veneer of ugliness that they're trying to push. Let's watch this video. I forgot to bring up that a lot of this article was talking about how this party was primarily white. And, they were pushing this idea that it was a racist gathering. Now, this is completely false. If you look at the big picture, this picture's cropped, by the way, that what's on this cover. Am I not able to see the full picture? That you even I saw earlier on this full picture here. This picture is cropped. Actually, if you look at the full wide lens picture, they referenced Curtis Yarvin here. Interesting. If you look at the big picture, they cropped out 3 black men. Okay, so they were clearly trying to push this narrative. There's a black individual right there, as you can see here in the corner. There's another one. There's the 3. So they cropped out these 3 guys, and it probably ends right here where this girl with the hat is. They completely cropped out the black people in the picture. So there were black individuals in the party, Waka Flocka Flame, was also performing at this party, okay? And it was hosted by a black man. In fact, the article was interviewing a black individual. I believe he was from PragerU, if I'm not mistaken. And they said he was a 28-year-old conservative influencer, but they failed to mention that he was black. And so they were still posing this idea that it was a completely white, mostly white party, which is just not true. Let's watch this. The Cruel Kids Young MAGA Party was fun, co-sponsor says. This is the overall attitude of the party. We'll listen to this right now.
New York Magazine, all hot and bothered that young conservatives are hot and unbothered. Its latest cover story taking issue with the Cruel Kids table, featuring a photo of a bunch of smiling, well-dressed Trump supporters at an inaugural party. How cruel. Not only did the entire hit piece fail to explain how any of these MAGA partygoers were cruel, but the author of the article made it a point several times to point out the party's whiteness.
The problem is what didn't make the front cover. Black men to the left of frame were cropped out, while another had his face covered by the title. A magazine spokesperson responded to us in a comment saying, quote, "The cover was cropped to the center of the picture that was published in full online, and we believe both the cover and story provided an accurate impression of the weekend."
Our next guest co-sponsored that party. Kalshi co-founder Tarek Mansour. I said earlier it was the New Yorker. I was wrong. I screwed up. It's New York Magazine. But Tarek, you co-sponsored the party. Would you do it again? And what do you make of this article?
Well, look, first of all, I'd say, I mean, it seemed to be like a pretty fun party where people had a good time. I think...
That's pretty much all it is, and that's the bottom line, as the segment is called right here. You see in the corner. That's the bottom line. It was a fun party, and there's no harm in it. And, just because I guess technically the majority of them were white, it doesn't mean anything one way or the other. Newsflash, the majority of the country is white. That's just going to happen, So, yes. And it was, like this individual come to say, it was actually just a fun party, and there's nothing cruel or unusual about it. In fact, it's probably good. It's probably should be considered good.
I won't comment specifically on the article. What I'll comment about is that what we do at Kalshi, and this is why we sponsored the party, we're a prediction market. We're a place where people predict the future, and they bet on a variety of different events, notably the election, where we forecasted Trump's election, and then we forecasted a bunch of other things. And the whole premise of the company is we're focused on truth. A little bit like Twitter, actually. We focus on providing people with truthful information about what the future holds. And the company's actually core motto is we call bullshit. On either side. And sometimes bullshit comes from either side, and I think that article was bullshit.
We try not to call
that's fair,
full on live television, but I hear what you're saying. So, but look.
Common legacy media L. Am I right, you guys? I'm kidding. I'll try not to swear in my show either. But yeah, there's just some things you can't say in mainstream television.
These are young people. They happen to be conservatives getting out there and celebrating the election of a new president of the United States. What in the world is wrong with that?
Well, look, I think, I don't know. I can't comment on, again, what was sort of the motive. But look, historically, people have come after the company. Mainstream media has come after the company. At the time, sort of, the Trump odds were up, so people were sort of claiming that the company is sort of coming up with, faking the odds or, saying false things. And, we saw the result. He ended up winning. It was the same thing with actually the Secretary of Defense confirmation hearing. When he performed at the confirmation hearing, his odds on Kalshi went from 74% of getting it to 95% of getting it. He performed very, very well. And we also got attacked for that because, I think the media was saying that, it was unclear if he performed well and so on and so forth. So we see a consistent pattern of that happening.
But in the article itself, you've obviously read it. What did you find fundamentally wrong with it?
I just think it was a bunch of young people having a good time. And I think, celebrating that victory, and we decided to sponsor it.
It was just a party. It was just an inaugural, event. There is nothing wrong with this gathering. The fact that there was no obese people, or the majority of them weren't obese or had unnatural hair or unusual piercings and or tattoos, does not mean it was a bad party. In fact, you could even make the case, although I'm not saying this, factually here, but you can even make the case that the majority of the attendees were mentally stable. And that also isn't altogether a good thing.
We sponsor, things on both sides of the aisle because it was relevant. A lot of our user base likes political trading, political betting, and obviously this is a very politically driven and politically savvy audience.
You would do it again? Would you sponsor this again?
We have sponsored multiple parties on either side of the aisle, and we will continue to do so.
Well, somehow they had a problem with good-looking people.
Exactly.
And they're deaf. And
God forbid anyone is aesthetically pleasing, right? God forbid anything is aesthetically pleasing. Everything has to be ugly. Oh, and by the way, if you're going to have the party, I like your comment, Steelbringer. I see that. We can't have a party unless we have a specific quota, right? We have to have a specific amount of people of a certain demographic. That's just completely foolish. Whoever comes, and that's okay.
Definition, getting together and having a good time. They're celebrating the election of a president of the United States. And I can tell you, the MAGA movement is not just a white movement.
Yeah,
there are people from all ethnicities.
Rob Smith was on the show yesterday, a veteran. I was at this party, as were many other conservative media influencers who are Black, Latino, Asian, etc. New York Magazine used a whites-only photo to push the media narrative that diverse Republicans don't exist and weren't welcome. You don't hate the media enough. That Rob wrote that on X.
No, this is the problem. The media wants to come up with a narrative. They're not even out of the chutes. They try to come out and then they try to craft it in such a way to try to demonize Republicans.
Yeah, that's what they will do. So I want to go over this article here a little bit. Since we're reaching in this next hour, but all these ads. The New York Post really is like the most cancerous website, isn't it? Okay, Black man cropped out of New York Mag's The Cruel Kids hit piece speaks out. They insinuate I was throwing some KKK kumbaya. New York Magazine has been caught red-handed editing out Black people of its cover of a young conservative bash in Washington, D.C. People of color, POCs. I still can't believe we use that term. It does sound racist. It sounds like colored people, but I guess that's the politically correct term now. Including, astonishingly, the party's host, were cut from the print magazine cover picture and the narrative of the magazine story titled The Cruel Kids Table, about young conservatives celebrating Donald Trump's return to the White House. It would have undermined this entire narrative that they wanted to perpetuate, which is that MAGA is some racially homogenous movement of people, party host C.J. Pearson told the Post. The misleading move shows how the left's previous hold on diverse voters is fracturing, and how they can't handle that reality. Really, this is like the last final the final blow that the leftists are trying to, and the Democrats are trying to push here, and it just... Ever since Trump has taken in office, every one of their attacks falls flat on their face. They are demoralized, and whatever attacks that they can muster up has little to no meaning, including this hit piece here, if you can even call it that. Pearson, a 22-year-old Black political commentator, has co-hosted The Bash with Raquel DeBono to celebrate social media creators who helped Trump win re-election. I should have been invited to this party too. I'm kidding. Rappers Lil Pump and Waka Flocka Flame, like I said, showed up to the Sax Lounge on January 19th, as did New York Magazine's Brock Coiler to report. So here's a quote, "It took willful ignorance to ignore the diversity that was present at the event, as New York Magazine so clearly did, by not even reaching out to me," Pearson says. Yeah, so, very disingenuous, but once again, who's surprised, right? Clearly, we are all aware, and you could even say woke to the fact that major media and a big media not only is completely non-transparent and essentially lying, but they hate, and I want to reiterate this, they hate things that are beautiful, aesthetically pleasing, and has a potential to reinvigorate the nation, and that's what it typically seems to be. And they do not like things that are constructive as opposed to deconstructive, and are potentially could be used as building blocks of the identity of the nation as opposed to breaking it down and being overly critical of things like critical theory. As I open up with this show, sometimes saying how that is imbued every institution, every major institution in our country, And clearly that hasn't done us any favors. If anything, it has divided our nation. And as many people have been saying with the Ascendant right, it seems to be that, especially with the right wing, we are trying to build our identity back up as a country. And that's really something special. And I think that's also what's important with the H-1B visa debate. People are reiterating, saying that we are actually not an economic zone. We are not fully, just a pragmatic project. We are a spiritual project. You could even say metaphysical one. It means more. Being an American means more than simply GDP, right? And that's I think, another aspect to this conversation that a lot of people are missing, I think. But anyways, I want to be bringing up my next story here, and this will have to do with the DC flight that unfortunately crashed. And, of course, I want to send out thoughts and prayers is what the term is, but I want to send out prayers to the families that are affected by this, of course, and so I'll be talking about that. But there is another aspect to the story that I did not see, interestingly enough, a lot of commentators talking about. And the reason why I am comfortable to talk about it is because our president and the vice president have talked about it, and that is a potential, the reality that this could have been brought on by DEI practices. This is something that was not supposed to happen, and it was a pretty big mistake. I know there's some people on the issue that's saying that they're conspiracy posting about it, and I'm not opposed to considering those views, but as far as I'm aware, I don't think there's anyone very important on that plane. Maybe there was someone important in the Black Hawk, I don't know. And, if I cross any information on that, I will be gladly talk about it on my show. But I think that some may call it a political narrative to talk about the DEI problem, which is what it is, a big, very big problem. I don't think it's politicizing it, especially if it potentially caused the crash. If anything, it's necessary to talk about, especially if it comes out that greatly contributed to the crash. And this morning, or earlier today, the president has talked about this. So we're going to be covering that and more on the rest of the show. I will be right back. I'm going to get a little drink of water, and I'm going to be pulling up the next few stories. You guys stay tuned. I will be playing your guys' favorite commercial. Let me make sure I didn't miss any donos just before I leave. Okay, no, I did not. Also, if you are watching this on Twitter, please like and share it. Just retweet it. It goes a long way in spreading the show around. And if you can't financially donate, that's one way that you can support the show. Otherwise, I strongly encourage you guys to send in a Rumble Rant. It does go a long way in supporting the show, building up our merch store and other things. So I really would appreciate that. And of course, I get to directly answer your questions and engage with your comments, because I know I will miss the comments. I don't have two screens here, so I will miss other comments. And if we do get $50 in donations, you guys do get a treat. We have the Unleash the Beast.
Monster kill.
So if you want to see my dysgenic dog, that's also a possibility. But he is an old man, so he's not going to come out for long. Just to let you, I don't want to guilt you guys like that. Okay, I'll be right back. Let me pull up your commercial, and I'll be pulling up the next few stories.
Well, here comes Daniela like Marilyn with a twist. She's got a master's degree and a style you can't resist. On Culturama, baby, we're shaking up the scene. So hit that like, make it click, you know what we mean. Like and subscribe, come on, don't delay. With Daniela at the helm, we're leading the way. It's Culturama, taking back tomorrow today.
You have to force behaviors, and at BlackRock, we are forcing behaviors.
Mao ordered his citizens to throw off the four olds. Old thinking, old culture, old customs, and old habits. So, your whole life went in the garbage overnight, no biggie. And those who resisted were attacked by an army of purifiers called the Red Guard, who went around the country putting dunce caps on people. Yeah, who didn't take to being a new kind of mortal being.
If you don't force behaviors, whether it's gender or race or just any way you want to say the composition of your team, you're going to be impacted.
Well, things haven't been so sweet for Ben & Jerry's after the company posted an anti-American tweet, a few of them, on the 4th of July. The ice cream makers declared the United States was founded on stolen indigenous land.
Well, someone should tell Target that, because they're now selling swimsuits with tuckums in the women's section of the store. And they even have a line just for kids.
Yeah, we're going to reach out to Ben & Jerry's and ask them how they can live with themselves as they operate a multi-billion-dollar company on stolen land while declaring other people give up their so-called stolen land.
This is the child section. This is literally the kids section. I'm next to a literal onesie that says whatever the hell that means. We have "Glad You Came Out" and "I'm so happy that you're queer" in the kids section. Are you kidding me? I'm sorry, but pride and toddler don't belong in the same sentence.
Good news! Starbucks will offer its workers reimbursement of travel expenses related to accessing abortion and gender-affirming procedures.
Kyle Rittenhouse was seen wearing a Black Rifle Coffee Company shirt, and they wanted to distance themselves from that individual. Key employees at the company also were donating to Democrats. Hafer doubled down on throwing many in his base under the bus, describing them as racist and a repugnant group of people.
Hey, Liberty lovers.
Well, here comes Daniela like Marilyn with a twist. She's got a master's degree and a style you can't resist. On Culturama, baby, we're shaking up the scene. So hit that like, make it click, you know what we mean. Like and subscribe, come on, don't delay. With Daniela at the helm, we're leading the way. It's Culturama, taking back tomorrow today.
You have to
In the city, lights so bright, ideals flash in the night. Opponents stand side by side, soldiers collide, nowhere to hide. Fist meet dreams in the street, history on repeat. Our world's in a spin, let the future begin.
Are crawling like bugs in the night. Freedom's calling, gotta rise and fight. We'll stomp 'em out with all our might. Watch 'em scatter in fear and fright.
Okay, we are back. Sorry about that. I got everything up before I could proceed with this story. And I did see that I got another donation come in. Thank you so much. This one comes from JJ. Thank you so much, JJ. I saw that during the commercial break. Oh my gosh. And we we have a $25 donation from Row House.
Here we go.
Thank you so much, Row House. I really appreciate that. $25. That's amazing. All right, I will be reading both of these. First, JJ's. He said, I sent a DM on X regarding the plane victims. I will read your message here, JJ. Thank you for the DM. And then Row House wrote, Daniela, this tweet of yours discusses what needs to be discussed about the Reagan airport crash. And he links to me a tweet. And once again, thank you for this generous donation, JJ. Okay, yeah, you cite my tweet here. Thank you, JJ. In fact, that's very helpful because I wanted to open up with that tweet. I'm sorry. Thank you, Row House. I wanted to open up with this tweet, Row House, and I didn't have it on my roster here, so thank you for linking that. That's very helpful, actually. And then, JJ, I have your tweet up as well, so I'll be reading that in the lineup as well. So just hang in for that. But, okay. I'm gonna be covering this story next, and I'm gonna go through it as best I can because we have a limited time here. So let's go, and I will be reading I will be counting how many donations I have. Let's see here. We have 5, 10, 12. Okay, we're almost at the $50 mark. You never know. We could bring out Leo. Okay. Let me pull these stories up here for you guys. Okay, so obviously, you know, this is a very... did we get another donation? Hold on a second, you guys. I want to make sure. I think I just saw another donation. This is why I need to screen. Quest Fanning is in the building! Quest! Thank you so much for the donation of $2. He wrote, good evening. Good to see you, Quest. I was missing you. It's good to see you in the chat. Okay. Thank you, Quest, for the donation. Okay, now I can proceed with the story here. All right. Can you guys see that behind me? Very good. So, obviously, a very heartbreaking situation. I think it was 67 or 68 lives that were lost in this plane crash. This is a major American plane disaster. The last one that has happened, I believe, was back in 2009, from what I've heard. So, you know, this is a pretty big deal. Obviously, a lot of lives are lost, and this toll is quite incredible and a very unfortunate circumstance. Obviously, my heart goes out to the families that are directly impacted by this, families and friends. And, you know, the Reagan Airport is one that I've flown into many times. And so, you know, and I'm sure a lot of us have, especially particularly for political events. I'm sure my audience have flown into the Reagan Airport or have visited it. So this is one that we can all pretty much relate to. So it is rather scary. And this is something that just simply shouldn't have happened. And so I did want to cover this. And here's a video. I wrote FAA and airline standards have suffered under DEI for the past 4 years. This is a logical conclusion. So I tweeted this, and people were saying almost immediately that I was politicizing it. And, you know, on the one hand, I can see why some people would say that. This is a talking point that a lot of leftists are coming out with immediately. And they're saying, like, it's politicizing it. Don't bring up DEI. Don't bring up the elephant in the room that very well could have contributed to this. Fine. That's politicizing it, right? Turns out I was a bit vindicated because Donald Trump has come out and discussed this in a press hearing about this situation. But let's watch this video that I linked to. It'll give a good intro into what is happening. A significant emergency response is underway, and a mass casualty has been declared after an American Airlines jet collided with a DC police helicopter, a Black Hawk, in a possible mid-air collision. Now we know it is a factual mid-air collision. Currently, a significant emergency response is underway in Washington, D.C. This was tweeted last night. So here's the video of the event. So there's the plane, okay? And obviously not the best resolution, but there you can see the Black Hawk, and boom, that yeah. So, very scary. And this certainly does not help many of our fears of flying, that's for sure. But this is something that just shouldn't have happened. This is a tweet that was DM'd to me by JJ, and thank you for your donation, JJ. And I knew there was figure skating. There was figure skaters in the flight. But here's a tweet. It says, U.S. figure skating can confirm that several members of our skating community were sadly aboard the American Airlines Flight 5342, which collided with a helicopter yesterday evening in D.C. These athletes, coaches, and family members were returning home from the National Development Camp held in conjunction with the U.S. Figure Skating Championship in Wichita, Kansas, which is where this flight was coming from. We are devastated by this unspeakable tragedy to hold the victims' families closely in our hearts. We will continue to monitor the situation. And anyway, there's the tweet. There it goes. And they'll release more information as it comes. So, very sad. And like I said, I originally brought up, as a few other people did, that there's a second story to all of this. And, you know, I don't like to talk about this aspect of it because it is quite unfortunate that this had to happen, but it didn't. But it didn't have to happen. There were ways which we could have prevented it to happen, and one of those is that there is a big question about whether or not DEI policies played a role in this. And even though we don't have evidence right now to suggest it, our very own president came out with this, and I wasn't expecting him to talk about this, but I did my own little bit of a deep dive in some of the FFA guidelines, and I will be bringing those guidelines out to you guys, because really interesting what they're allowing to go in, to take these jobs and to go into this industry. And obviously, as we'll come to find out, as we'll read further, is that guidelines have been made lax, and they're allowing many different kinds of people, particularly those that are not the most mentally stable, take jobs in the airline industry. Let's watch this clip, but I do see that we are having more donations come in. Everyone, just stay tuned. I will read your donations as we proceed. Let me play this clip for you. A reporter asks, are you saying that this plane crash was caused by DEI, right? Trump said it could have been. There are things where you have to go by brain power and psychological quality. And it's really impressive that the president, the sitting president, is talking about this, psychological quality. But let's take a listen to this.
And we have a high...
On DEI. And once again, you could say that, you know, this is politicizing it. When I was watching the live, I saw a lot of people saying that he's a fool, Trump's a fool for bringing this up, he's politicizing these deaths. If it came out that DEI policies did contribute to this crash, or some form of ineptitude, would it then still be politicizing it, or is it actually trying to find a solution? I just want to ask naysayers that question. Because those in the camp saying that DEI is a problem, especially in such an intense industry like this, why would it be politicizing it if we seriously are wanting to make air travel safe? Let's listen to this.
Are you saying this crash was somehow caused and the result of diversity hiring? And what evidence have you seen to support these claims?
It just could have been. We have a high standard. We've had a much higher standard than anybody else. And there are things where you have to go by brain power. You have to go by psychological quality. And psychological quality is a very important element of it. These are various, very powerful tests that we put to use, and they were terminated by Biden. And Biden went by a standard that's the exact opposite. So we don't know, but we do know that you had two planes at the same level. You had a helicopter and a plane. That shouldn't have happened. And we'll see. We're going to look into that, and we're going to see. But certainly for an air traffic controller, we want the brightest, the smartest, the sharpest. We want somebody that's psychologically superior.
Yeah.
And that's what we're going to
And this is when meritocracy really does
DEI.
matter, because, again, it saves lives. It's not something to play around with. I mean, we can make light about meritocracy in any other industry, sure, and, saying how DEI is terrible and it's, imbuing in every major institution and it's making things poor quality. I know some of us may have fun with that, but this is something that it must be taken with utmost importance because it does cost lives. Okay, and I know a lot of conservatives have been. I think this is playing in the background. Sorry about that. I think a lot of conservatives have been like joking around about that, myself included, saying like, oh, pray for me. I mean, I of course made the tweet saying like, pray for me that there's no DEI hires on this flight. Hopefully I'll survive this one. But it's not a joke. People's lives are really being affected by this, and it does seem to be like that right now. Of course, we need to do more investigation on this, as there will be done on this tragedy, about what the exact cause was. I know they had to retrieve, I think it's called the black box, but this is something that does have to be talked about because, like Donald Trump says, psychology, IQ, aptitude, brain power, as he put it, all of these elements do play a role in making sure that people stay safe. And there's nothing wrong about talking about that. And with policies that have to do with DEI, diversity inclusion, that kind of opens the gate and opens the door for different types of individuals. And a lot of people have said, and I've said this, and I'm sure we can all agree that DEI is opposed to meritocracy. Okay, and this I linked. This is the whole remark, all the remarks that Trump gave earlier today. It's an hour long, so clearly we won't be watching it. But I did want to play clips of it because it is kind of a big deal. So I did want to play parts of it, but I did want to get to you guys' donations. So let me get to your guys' donations, and then we can proceed with the story here. Okay, we have
Here comes the money.
$3 from Bruiser55. That's a new name. Hello, Bruiser55. Thank you so much for the, was it $3 or $5? My site is failing me. $3. Thank you for the $3, Bruiser. I really do appreciate that. For Leo, I'll be totaling that up. And then $5 from Derek Bollier, Unleash the Beast. Derek, thank you so much. The beast may be unleashed. I do have to add these up, so let's see here. Bear with me. I am a female, and that means I'm not too good with math, so give me a second. 9, 10. So we have 35, 36, 37, 38, 39, 40, 41, 42, 43, 44, 45, 46. 40. Okay, it looks like we may actually unleash the beast, you guys. I think we're getting up to $50. If I added that correctly, 10, 35, 36, 37, 38, 39, 40, 41, 42, 43, 44, 45, 46. So we need $3 more and we'll reach the Leo ransom of $5. And then if we do that, the beast will be unleashed. Let me pull up the Leo meter. We need $3 more. If we get $3 more, the beast will be unleashed, everyone. And then you will get to see Leo in a topic-appropriate outfit. I don't know what the outfit would be for this stream, but I'm sure I'll find something. Thank you so much, Quiz. Okay, $3, we got it in. Awesome, Rowhouse. Thank you so much, Rowhouse. I really do appreciate that. For Leo, what we have reached is $5, and you know what that means? Leo will be coming out. I will be getting him out. This is kind of awkward because we're in the middle of a very dark topic. $1 from. Thank you so much, Quest Fanning, for the $1. I think it's an emoticon. It's an emoticon of a man dancing. Thank you so much, you guys. Now, this is a perplexing situation because, like I said, this is a very dark topic. I don't know if I should bring Leo out now, but you guys, it is a limited time. Yes, that is true. 30 minutes until the end. You guys are right. I will be bringing Leo out. I will be proceeding with the story. However, because I did want to talk about the document, I found documents. Okay, I did a little bit of a deep dive. So I will be bringing Leo out. He will read some documents with us. For instance, like I have the Pilot Fitness Aviation Rulemaker Committee report, and I wanted to talk about that with you guys. So I'll be covering that. But you guys paid for it. I gotta do it. The beast is unleashed. So I'll be bringing Leo on. Thank you so much for everyone participating. You guys want the dog. Okay, I'll be bringing him out. Give me one moment. You guys are right. The show is almost over, so I need to bring him out. I will be right back. Stay tuned. You guys have paid the Leo ransom.
Well, here comes Anita like Marilyn with a twist. She's got a master's degree and a style you can't resist. On Culturama, baby, we're shaking up the scene. So hit that like, make it click, you know what we mean. Like and subscribe, come on, don't delay. With Daniela at the helm, we're leading the way. It's Culturama, taking back tomorrow today.
You have to force behaviors, and at BlackRock, we are forcing behaviors.
Mao ordered his citizens to throw off the 4 olds. Old thinking, old culture, old customs, and old habits. So, your whole life went in the garbage overnight, no biggie. And those who resisted were attacked by an army of purifiers called the Red Guard, who went around the country putting dunce caps on.
Monster kill. Monster kill.
Okay, you guys paid for it. You got it. Leo's ransom has been paid. Now, I don't know how this is appropriate with the theme, but hear him screaming. I got Leo in a pig outfit today, you guys. What do you think? Leo, say hello to the audience. Now, this is, of course, his pig outfit. It's a very simple outfit. I don't know how it relates, but I thought it was cute. No, all pink, very soft, very delightful to the touch. All right, what do you guys think about that? Little piggy, that's right. Onesies, exactly. Leo. Okay. I hope he's kind of stinky. Yo, do you have food on you? Would you have food on you? Okay. Oh, someone wrote, OMG, that's terrifying. Leo is scary AF. It's from YouTube. Hey, he's a little scary. Pig, darn. The cop analogy is inappropriate here. Oh, JJ. He is not a cop. He is just a simple, humble pig. Like Wilbur. He's just chilling, exactly. Leo, what are your thoughts about any of the topics that we covered, perhaps on the RFK confirmation hearings, which I hope I'll have enough time to cover, but any thoughts on that? Very, very well done. Dysgenic Awesomeness wrote Quest Fanny. Yes, so for those that are new, Leo is 4 generations inbred. He really is a miracle of life. He has extra toes. He has extra nipples. A lot of his teeth have fallen out. And he has a severely low IQ. I know that because I train dogs. I have trained Chihuahuas before, and he is the only Chihuahua where it takes him months to learn one simple trick. Leo is indeed a lump with nubs. So this is my dog that you guys were paying for, and his ransom is usually held at $50. And you guys seem to keep wanting to see the beast, so here we go. And I will be making merch, Unleash the Beast merch. That is another thing I forgot to mention. There will be an Unleash the Beast merchandise. I will try to get that finished by hopefully before this week, at least the designs. And then we'll be putting them on the store once it gets approved. Austin's the one to approve it. So once he approves of that, it might take a couple of weeks, but we will have Unleash the Beast merch, which I will, of course, talk about on this show. So Thank you for everyone that has donated. And of course, as part of the Unleash the Beast segment, as soon as Leo comes out, he will be reading news stories with us live, as long as he can withstand it. Okay, let's continue on with the story. It's unfortunate you guys donated to get him out on such a dark story, which I do have I have conflicted feelings about bringing him out, but regardless, you guys paid for it, so I gotta deliver, right? Okay, so like I said, Trump has talked about the necessity of meritocracy, obviously in aviation, okay, and transportation, and what he says is true, as I've said. So let me pull up some of the video of him speaking. I do hope I get time to cover the RFA confirmation. So bear with me, you guys, because on Thursdays, I need to keep it shorter because we have the Liberty Tonight show streaming after me. So, but let's go. Oh, well, did it not work? Hold on a second. Okay. Okay, now did it work? Can you guys see what's behind me? Okay, good. All right, let's play a part of this. This was Trump coming out to speak.
When can
There's
I retire?
An ad.
At Fisher
Trump is coming out to speak of the crash. This was earlier today.
Question, which is
okay.
On that plane.
Let's hope it's. Can I make it louder? Yeah.
Will no longer be with us. Together we take solace in the knowledge that their journey, others, by the way, and my administration will set the highest possible bar for aviation safety.
Here we go.
We have to have our smartest people.
So he's talking about, he did bring up DEI, which I was surprised to see, and he is talking about the necessity of the psychologically adept at doing this job and in working in aviation and transportation. And he's talking about how he wants to bring on the smartest and the brightest. I know, politicizing it, right? Not as though this actually needs to happen.
No matter what they look like, how they speak, who they are, it matters. Intellect, talent.
Exactly.
The word talent. They have to be talented, naturally talented geniuses. You can't have regular people doing that job. They won't be able to do it. But we'll restore faith in American air travel. I'll have more to say about that. I do want to point out that various articles that appeared prior to my entering office, and here's one. The FAA's diversity push includes focus on hiring people with severe intellectual and psychiatric disabilities.
That's right.
That is amazing.
Yeah. So, and I did find documents about this. So, this is the. Hold on a second. We're on page 4. So, this is the Pilot Fitness Aviation and Rule Making Committee report. Okay, 2015. And I don't know how many are here. About like 48 pages. All you gotta do is go to page 4. Okay. And psychological testing. So, stated right here, the ARC does not recommend mandating formal psychological testing during the pilot hiring process, nor as part of the routine FAA aviation medical examinations beyond those which already exist. Okay, so it's literally like in the report right here, says it right here, it does not recommend mandating formal psychological testing. It claims that it finds no convincing data to conclude that adding psychological testing for the hiring process or to routine medical examinations enhance the ability to assess mental fitness for the pilot workforce. Just to ask a question, maybe it's a dumb question, but if there's no evidence that's convincing that states that psychological evaluation testing doesn't make a difference one way or the other, why not just do it anyway, just in case? Maybe they would claim that it would be an inept use of resources or it'll be too costly. But first of all, it makes no sense. I don't believe this whatsoever. But even if that were the case, why not just like an extra measure of precaution? Why not include psychological testing? I'm just wondering about that one. And then we have the FAA report right here. It's called... Hold on a second. It's a comprehensive evaluation of pilots with mental health challenges, but opportunities exist to further mitigate safety risk. This is a report done by the FFA July 2023, by the way. And let's go back down to page 9 is where I found this. Leo, relax. Okay, so here on page 9, it states, quote, the FFA relies on applicants to self-disclose mental health disorders. But FFA's ability to mitigate safety risks is limited by pilots' reluctance to comply with self-disclosure requirements. So what this means is that it's up to the applicants to disclose whether or not they suffer from a psychological illness or a mental instability or disclosing any mental health conditions. This is an extremely inaccurate way to gather data and to evaluate your applicants, okay? Earlier in this report, it did mention something about not hiring people with a history of schizophrenia and I think bipolar. I don't remember what page that was on. Talks about SSRIs, of course. But once you get down to page 9, it talks about how it's up to the applicants to self-disclose. Why would they do that? If this is a job that an applicant really wants, they were training for, why would they say that I actually suffer from psychosis or I have suffered from psychosis at one point in my life in my 20s? Why would they say that? They don't even get access to like their mental health records. It's up to the applicant to disclose. This is extremely dangerous, and it very well could have contributed to the crash that we have seen. Where is the recommendations? What page was the recommendations? Because there was something under the recommendations that, here we go, that I wanted to look at. Okay, and then on 16, under recommendations, it says to address the agency's need to encourage pilots with mental health issues to disclose and seek treatment for their conditions. We recommend the Federal Aviation Administrator to collaborate with airlines, airline pilot unions, and the aerospace medical community to conduct assessment to identify ways to address barriers that discourage pilots from disclosing and seeking treatment for mental health conditions based on the latest data and evidence. See, so, and the other recommendation, develop and implement policy and protocol revisions recommended in the assessment. So they are going to develop and implement policy and protocols that go out of their way to ignore real mental health issues. Leo, stop. Stop it. He is just a bundle of activity and joy. This is extremely discouraging. So you could just find these online. You know, the links are up here, but I'm assuming you guys wouldn't want to find this. But yeah, another thing, like you do have mental health disorders, but suicide attempts on here too. But you also have the possibility of substance abuse disorders, which, you know, could also be like greatly overlooked because substance abuse diagnosis is kind of lax as well, or substance dependence issues. This is not something that should be. This is not something that should be approached with such carelessness. Again, like I said, I mean, these are people's lives hanging on the balance, and they are outright letting people self-disclose their mental health conditions or their history of mental health experiences, and it's all self-disclosed, as well as basically recommending people not to have a formal psychological testing procedures put in place. And so they implement these policies. And they have. And again, this report particularly was in 2023. Lastly, I had this tweet I wanted to draw attention to. The New York Times reports that air traffic controllers have been sleeping, drinking, and getting high on the job. There's that substance abuse issue that I was referring to. Some have even been violent in the workplace. Many ATCs are simply unqualified. it isn't just that they're understaffed. So here's a quote. One air traffic, again, New York Times. One air traffic controller went into work drunk this summer and joked about making big money buzzed. Another routinely smoked marijuana during breaks. Literally, marijuana literally affects your perception. Third employee threatened violence and then aggressively pushed a colleague who was directing airplanes. I mean, this is really upsetting. There were at least 7 reports of controllers sleeping when they were on duty, and 5 employees working while under the influence of alcohol and drugs. The New York Times obtained summaries of the complaints through an open records request. So, and this is what Patrick wrote underneath this tweet, the guy who tweeted this. In summary, the FFA's diversity woes are part of a greater competence crisis. Imagine this dysfunction in every critical field of American society. It's a horrific prospect, but that's what awaits us if the diversity agenda isn't defeated. So yeah, they're taking substances that literally alter their comprehension skills and their perception, and also if you take long enough, will make you low IQ. Will inhibit your motivation, by the way. Very distressing news, actually, and that's what we're facing right now, you guys. So thank God Trump is in office, and that I do believe that the transportation. Hold on a second. Transportation. The Department of Transportation head was just brought in. What was his name again? It's Sean Duffy. Sean Duffy was just put in his position a couple days ago, I believe, right before this has occurred. So talk about a trial by fire, right? It's this guy right here. Let me get this picture of him. Here we go. There's Sean Duffy. So he was just, he just took up the head of the Department of Transportation. U.S. Senate votes to confirm Trump nominee to head Transportation Department. Okay, so I'm not going to read that article, but there we go. January 28th, literally right before it happened. This is very unfortunate for Sean that he has to deal with this, but I guess this is one way that he can prove himself, is by dealing with this situation. Okay. Yes, Duffy. Alrighty. Thank you so much for your guys' donations and your support. Mr. Pig wrote, last thing he says is, do you see that plane right before the midair collision? He should be giving immediate direction. Yeah, ATC is not something to mess around with. Once again, like I said, people's lives are at stake in this position, and the fact that they essentially got incompetent people, probably less competent than you right now watching the stream, you guys. Maybe not all of you, but some of you that don't drink or take marijuana or smoke marijuana, whatever the terminology is. They're probably less competent than you are even right now to do the job. That is horrifying, especially for people that travel a lot like I do and others. That's horrifying. This person, I'm sorry I cannot read your username because you have a bunch of images as your username. That does look like the Capricorn sign. And a flower, though. On YouTube wrote, Buttigieg did a bang-up job. The country got rear-ended. Exactly. Let me know how I should call you if you're going to be coming on or chatting in the stream. Chat again. Because that username is very difficult to decipher. This is what Don Lemon kept braiding Elon Musk for when he said, if you lower standards, people will wrote Row House. Yes. Will die. Yeah, exactly. Bruiser 55 wrote, I have thought about becoming on an ATC when I was in high school. They need you, Bruiser. And they certainly need you. Okay, well, I also wanted to cover the RFK confirmation hearings, but truthfully, we may not have enough time to do that. I'm sorry, guys. I can play a few clips for you, so let me pull those up for you. I won't go to commercial break because we only have 13 minutes left. So I wanted to pull those up for you guys live. Let me make sure I have all my sources correctly. Okay, maybe we'll have enough time to go over this. And Leo is getting a little antsy here. Leo, I fed you. There's no reason why you should be antsy. Okay. I had an article up about explaining RFK Jr.'s voice. So maybe we'll cover that too. Again, we just have 12 minutes. So, and let me make sure that I have the link ready for the raid. Okay. I make sure I have everything. I don't have the link ready for the raid, so once I get that sent to me, or I can just look it up, I will get that done. First and foremost, did you guys see this? RFK Jr. slips a zin in the middle of his Senate confirmation hearing. Give him the job. He is, trying to get wired enough to even do this. It's really quiet, but you can see he's kind of looking down. We've all done this, right? Those of us that take zin. He clearly stuck something in his mouth, and we are to presume this is, in fact, a zin. What flavor do you guys think it is? I'm going to assume it's coffee. I don't know how people do the spearmint ones or the mint ones. That stuff gives me a headache. Quest Fanning writes, Leo's ton. Yes, Leo has a pretty long tongue, don't you, buddy? He's barely holding up. My poor boy. Okay. This next article, Dems look unhinged. Conservatives rally around RFK Jr.'s masterclass confirmation hearing performance. So here's a brief article detailing the context of it. But like I said in the beginning of the stream, Democrats are just going completely ham on this. I truthfully believe that this is a vengeance campaign against him. And it just shows how petty they are to make this as heated and conflictual as it has been. They're probably on the side of seeing that they're just trying to provide an honest effort in making sure that this confirmation hearing goes as smoothly and accurately as possible. But I think it more has to do with just defaming him as much as possible. No Republicans appeared to oppose Kennedy's confirmation in Wednesday's hearing and today's as well. Conservatives on social media rallied around Robert F. Kennedy Jr. on Wednesday as a Trump nominee for Secretary of Health and Human Services faced questions from senators from his past of the confirmation hearing. RFK crushed it, they wrote. RFK killed it today. RNC committeewoman Amy Kremer posted on X, so proud of him. LFG, let's freaking go. Okay. The room erupted in applause immediately after RFK Jr.'s confirmation hearing concluded, conservative commentator Barry Johnson said. I was watching his coverage earlier. Riley Gaines even chimed in. So conservatives are clearly rallying up for this confirmation. Verbal fireworks exploded minutes into the Senate Finance Committee hearing on Wednesday that the first of the 2 straight days of congressional confirmation hearings for the controversial vaccine skeptic and environmental crusader who ran for the White House in 2024 before ending his bid for endorsing Trump. Kennedy repeatedly insisted that he was not anti-vaccine and slammed multiple Democratic senators for pushing a dishonest narrative against him that he has been corrected on national television many times. Democrats in the committee pointed to a slew of past comments from the nominee in which he questioned or disparaged COVID shots and other vaccines. So clearly they were coming at him from that angle. But the reason why I would say Democrats were as harsh as they were and a bit disingenuous and bad faith is that as you can see here, reporters at the RFK hearing have pre-written negative headlines already. So even before sitting through the entire thing, big media Democrats are all in one fight together to defame RFK as much as possible. Previously, one of their guys completely attacked him. So yet again, another example of why we cannot take media seriously, at least legacy media seriously, anymore. For those that can't see, this says RFK Jr. faces grilling on anti-vaccine comments and animal mutilation at confirmation hearing. Trump live updates. And of course, we have this. They are so skeptical of RFK Jr., right, that, you know, they want to make sure they have the right guy. And this is the Health and Human Services Department. They want to make sure that they have the healthiest and the most honest and righteous individual for the job. And then you just look at the person that had that role before him.
Climate change's impact. Through our
This is
Office
an
of Climate
absolute
Change
joke.
and Health Equity and the Office
If
of
you had to
Environmental
compare
Justice, we're working with
RFK
providers and
versus
community
this
leaders
guy,
to identify
who do you
innovative
think would be
approaches
more
that empower communities
healthy,
to address the health
or more of a picture of
consequences
health,
linked to
right?
climate change. Visit hhs.gov for more
What a
information
joke.
and tune in next Thursday to hear from another HHS
Just as a
leader
reminder for
on
you
how
guys,
you can contribute to
sorry
advancing
for the lack
better
of
health
palate
for
cleanser,
Black
but this is Black History Month, by the way. So this is the absolute blindness and the bad faith approach that these people are coming from. For the remainder few minutes of this stream, for those that were interested in the reason why his voice is so raspy and shaky, here's a brief article detailing this, because I've seen some people on TikTok make fun of him for it, which is very insensitive. It is a neurological disorder, you know, and a lot of people questioning why that's happening. So let's read through this. Here, he said, I had a very strong voice until I was 46 years old, Kennedy said during an interview with News Nation in 23. It was unusually strong. It makes my voice tremble. At the time, I didn't know what was wrong with it. But when I would go on TV, people would write me letters saying you have spasmodic dysphonia. Okay, that's what he has. That's a condition he's ailed with. He was officially diagnosed with the condition in 1996. He hates the sound of his own voice. That's really sad. I feel sorry for people who have listened to me. He said, my voice doesn't really get tired. It just sounds terrible. But the injury is neurological. So actually, the more I use the voice, the stronger it gets. And explains what is spasmodic dysphonia. It is a rare speech disorder that affects the vocal cords, obviously. Those affected may have strained and hoarse, shaky voices that can sometimes be difficult to understand. The condition is caused by stress or anxiety for the person affected, and it is neurological, stemming from an area of the brain that causes spasms in the muscles or the voice box. There is no known trigger, so we don't exactly know. There is speculation or rumor that he's got it after, or he's developed it after getting a vaccine. But I wonder if there is a treatment for it. There are medications like Botox or muscle relaxants. Maybe gabapentin would help him. As a gabapentin enjoyer myself, that is something I would recommend. So maybe he would get that. Neurological conditions are not fun, you guys. It's very awful. So I do feel sorry for him, and it's very insensitive it's very terrible and sensitive to see people on TikTok make fun of him for that. I won't play those videos. I won't bring attention to those videos or the people that made those videos, because it's vile what they do. So, okay. All right. It looks like I managed to wrap up all the stories that I needed to wrap up before the time limit. Is the correct screen on? Okay, good. Okay, you guys, we have actually covered all the stories that we could before the time limit. Thank you so much for your guys' donations. It is so appreciated. Thank you for the new viewers that have come in and decided to engage with the chat and didn't just lurk this time. Very, very appreciate that. Okay, I'm going to get in the link for the Liberty Tonight show. It wasn't sent to me, so let me just find it for you guys. And then I will put it in the chat here, and I will do my send-off. Liberty Tonight. So, and for those that don't know what the Liberty Tonight show is, it is part of the 4 Liberty Network, the same network that I'm a part of, and Austin Peterson's Wake Up America show. And on every Thursday, the Liberty Tonight show streams right after me. So you guys should definitely check it out after mine. Once again, they stream once a week every Thursday. So I will be dropping that in the chat, and I'll see you guys there. Otherwise, thank you everyone for joining Culturama. I hope you guys have a really good rest. Hold on, let me make this quieter. I hope you guys have a beautiful rest of your evening. I will see you on Saturday. I will be streaming on Saturday, so I want you guys to watch me on there and watch my updates. But otherwise, have a beautiful evening, and yeah, I'll see you guys then. God bless you and stay safe out there. And Leo says goodbye as well. Thank you for paying his ransom and releasing him and his pig suit. Thank you, everyone. I shall see you on Saturday. Thank you for tuning in to Culturama.
With a flagpole planted firm, golden dreams that won't decay, marching proudly through the day. In the eagle's shadow wide, we find our strength and take our pride. Let the voices echo loud, tearing through the waiting crowd. We've got the power now, in the heart of every town. We've got the power now, the Reds are going down. Across the plains and mountains tall, hear the victory call. With courage and with might we strive. Hear